The way we do business is fundamentally changing forever, and that might mean there are huge opportunities just around the corner to take advantage of. Now, instead of following the online articles and the bombardment of news about huge systems like Meta or Google completely revolutionizing their platforms and changing business models that they've had for decades, I would instead like to focus on what's happening in terms of the user behavior and how might we want to be able to take advantage of that. You might be one of the hundreds of millions of people right now who's frequently going to LLM systems like Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and having in-depth and nuanced conversations about how to find the right information that pertains to your specific requests at the right time. So, where do we go from here, and what are the opportunities that might be just around the corner if we can maybe take a guess at how this whole thing is going to play out? Well, let's dive into it. How exactly do we position a business to take advantage of what's happening with these user behaviors? Well, it will first help to understand exactly what part of the behavior is changing. We all know what it feels like to go and Google something. We know the process of going onto a search engine and saying something like, best restaurant near me. We're used to this idea that there are systems that try their best to look at all of the restaurants in our local area, and if these systems can see and understand the content, then it's going to try and derive results. And we see, whether we look at Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever, that results are really rank ordered from the top to the bottom for what that system thinks is the most relevant to our problem. And herein lies the change in user behavior, because if we go to a search engine and we know that a bunch of companies are just bidding for the keyword restaurant, then there's not too much context and nuance behind that. It just knows we've put restaurant in a search. So what happens if this fundamental mechanic was completely revolutionized into what we're seeing now? Which is to suggest, instead of a one-line search, there's a huge back and forth. There is an in-depth conversation with a large language model or an AI system where the user is giving particular criteria of what they want. Maybe it's not restaurant near me. Maybe it's, is there a restaurant with a skyline view that does good vegetarian food? Is there a place that has under $100 per head, which is near to this particular tube station or bus stop? Before you know it, there is this incredibly rich context that can be provided. And when the user is providing those filters and those constraints to what they're searching for, the probability that that system can give them a better resolution of result, which is more applicable to the problem they're trying to solve, is massive. And this means two huge things. Firstly, the user is getting more value out of this journey. And that's clear to see due to the huge meteoric rise in users that are adopting these systems. But secondly, it means that these systems now have a much harder job to go and find and source the information that is relevant to a much more defined query. And this is where I think the biggest opportunity presents itself to you. Because if you can formulate your product or your service in a way that can be read and understood by these new systems, the chances of you being able to put your message in front of the right person at the right time with the right query is huge. And it also figures that if these platforms are going to be able to attract and retain users at such a huge level, they're probably going to want to monetize them. It's not a crazy idea that these platforms are going to want to optimize the revenue they can generate from their user base. So in whatever shape they take, the chances that they're going to implement ads placements is extremely high. We already see this happening with Google, and it's very likely that other AI and LLM systems are going to follow suit. It's just a matter of time. So what this really means is there's a huge leveling of the playing field when it comes to putting our products and services in front of the right people. And in the next chapter, I really want to start to discuss exactly how we can do that and get ahead of the curve. So let's start with number one, LLM.txt. I think this is going to become an emerging standard for instructing LLM systems how to crawl and understand your digital assets. If you think about a website having something like robots.txt or sitemap.xml, these are very standardized files that instruct crawlers how to process your website. LLM.txt is likely to be the method that signals to these AI systems how to index and how to understand the pages on your website or your store, and most importantly, how to use them. Is this page for, frequently asked questions? Does this page explore location information? Is it a menu for a restaurant? Does it have specific product specifications? Are there different clothing sizes? The list goes on in how your business wants to present its information in the right way to these LLM systems. So implementing that would probably be the most important thing. Secondly, traditional SEO I think is going to become just a baseline entry to make sure you are visible and understandable by these systems. On-page SEO, making sure your site has the correct metadata, alt text, making sure that your header structure is correct, that your website semantically makes sense is going to become vital. URL structure and your internal linking, all of these traditional SEO elements, making sure that your site is functioning correctly, is going to be important, because it's not going to be long before AI agents, it won't even necessarily be humans, AI agents are going to be going to find answers in your site. And if it's not organized correctly, it's going to be just another barrier of entry for these systems to understand easily what you're trying to present as a solution to your user. That goes for the technical SEO, which is the crawlability. It's making sure that your pages load fast enough. Do you have structured data in? Is it mobile friendly? Does it handle URL parameters correctly? There's lots to it, but despite the fact that this is a very well understood and long formed expertise, the traditional SEO is going to be vital. But it also counts when it comes to the off-page stuff. And what I mean by this is, if you had two businesses that gave a similar service, but one of them was brand new, without much domain authority, without many reviews, but then the other one was something that was well established, other websites were linking to it, there were articles written about it, it had lots of good reviews, and there was a lot of domain authority, you can see that off-page SEO is going to start to become more and more important too. Given two choices, an AI system would much prefer to present a solution from a business or a provider that has a long-standing history of pleasant customer reviews and successful works completed and features in articles that have good authority. This will naturally extend to social media, influencers talking about your brand, comments, how people are reacting to your brand online is going to essentially form a digital footprint that doesn't just exist on your digital assets, it's going to be off page too. And the same goes for e-commerce stores. You think about Shopify, Magento stores, WooCommerce, doesn't really matter. Whatever online system you're using as an e-commerce storefront, you can imagine how important the meta descriptions of the products, or the product descriptions, the titles, the images that you use, making sure that the product feeds are consistent across different locations. Maybe you're using something like Google Merchant Center, where search systems can see clearly how your products are formulated and handled, and so they can find that information to start tying relevancy to queries that are coming into LLMs. So the e-commerce SEO element will also be vital. And while there are 100 other options I could choose, my number 3 would probably be brand strategy, brand consistency, and brand authenticity. We're going to start entering a world where it's going to be very, very hard for businesses who don't have good products or services, because that footprint and that reaction of users that are interacting with those brands isn't going to go anywhere, and AI systems are going to be incredibly adept at summarizing and understanding them. So this means there's a fantastic opportunity for businesses who put a lot of love, care, and passion into what they do. Service providers who really focus on the customer experience, who deliver the best service they can, or manufacturers and retailers who try to make the best possible products at the best price points and deliver that information as best possible to the users. They are going to win big in this new world, because the playing field is being leveled out and the options that are accurately tailored to user queries are being delivered on a plate. This is fantastic for us as consumers. It means that we're going to have a much wider breadth of good quality recommendations of products to consider. And on the flip side, businesses have this incredible new road to put their product in front of them at just the right time. So I think if you could only do 3 things, they would be the 3 I'd focus on in a sea of other optimizations that's likely going to ebb and flow as time goes on. Not everyone is going to be in love with this idea that these AI systems are now essentially watching everything that your business does. It's watching every user interaction around your business, is watching what people say about you, and everything is trying to learn as best possible how to optimize the process of putting the best result in front of the right query at the right time. So If we think about what this really means, it means as a business, our data infrastructure is now more important than ever, because if our product catalog doesn't talk to our ad accounts that we're using to advertise the products, if we sever that communication line, what that means is you can't learn from the path of a user discovering a product from an ad and then going over to look at something in your product feed. It means you might not be able to retarget that same product someone's looked at down the line. It also means that if our analytics systems aren't accurate, or if the way we collect data isn't compliant, or the way we send data in between all of these different assets, if that's not functioning correctly, we're essentially not allowing these AI algorithmic machine learning systems to function. So if we're in a business that doesn't have these digital handshakes all in place and our competitor does, the chances are they are going to be able to leverage this new form of product exposure better than we are. A final vital piece of this puzzle is to make sure that when you are collecting data on your users, on your systems, it's compliant, and that data usage is first party and it's accurate, and that the systems, whether it's the analytics, whether it is the tag management, whether it is the website, whether it's the ad accounts or the product feeds or the search console or the My Business profile, all of a sudden the cognition behind making sure these systems are functioning and speaking to each other is becoming more and more important. Every single one of them will have some part to play in delivering vital information over to these LLM systems to make sure they can understand how to put your brand and your business in front of the right person at the right time. So I hope this video has been helpful in exploring some of the key fundamentals that we're implementing for our customers to future-proof them and to allow them to start already taking advantage of a revolution that is almost inevitable at this point. This really is a fantastic opportunity for businesses. I think those who act quickly are really going to reap the benefit of getting ahead of their competition. I think it's a big leveling of the playing field. And like I say, I hope this helps. If you have any need for speaking to an expert about implementing some of this for your business, hit the links below, transparentdigitalservices.com, and I will see you on the next one.